A team of researchers at UNL is bringing an innovative technology to Nebraska farms, and along with it, the potential to increase farmer profitability and reduce environmental impacts. Richard Ferguson, a UNL soil fertility specialist, heads up the effort known as Project Sense, Sensors for Efficient Nitrogen Use and Stewardship of the Environment.
Well, the primary goal of Project Sense is to encourage farmers to use in-season application of nitrogen fertilizer. We think for Nebraska conditions, our weather and our soils, that's a practice that we'd really like to see grow in adoption. Farmers in Nebraska have used fertilizers increasingly efficiently over the last 30 years or so. But there's some evidence that gain in efficiency may be starting to plateau a little bit. And so we're thinking that perhaps new practices and new approaches to how we use fertilizer might be needed. In-season application for Nebraska really helps us to use fertilizer more efficiently and to gain in terms of profit and to help protect water quality at the same time.
So how do these crop canopy sensors work? Crop canopy sensors are positioned over the corn row. The sensors emit modulated light onto the crop canopy. Photodetectors on the bottom of the sensor measure the light that's reflected by a leaf. Specific wavelengths of light are measured, in this case red, red edge, and near-infrared light. The wavelength information is recorded by the crop canopy sensor. This information is then combined to form an index, in this case the Normalized Difference Red Edge Index, or NDRE. The NDRE index has been correlated to a specific property of the crop, in this case nitrogen status. That index is then transformed via algorithms into a recommended rate of additional N fertilizer to be applied. Sensors mounted on an applicator boom can measure the nitrogen status in real time as the applicator moves through the field, while the applicator can apply the needed nitrogen in real time. 17 field sites were selected in 2015. These sites are located within 5 natural resource districts, or NRDs, where groundwater nitrate measurements are at critical levels: Lower Platte North, Upper Big Blue, Little Blue, Central Platte, and Lower Loop. Project Sense is a 3-year project and will work with 20 field sites per year. The project is conducted through the Nebraska On-Farm Research Network, which works with Nebraska's producers to help them conduct their own research to answer production-related questions for their farming operations. In this case, growers are comparing their nitrogen management to nitrogen rates directed by the crop canopy sensors. The work of applying nitrogen is shared between the producer and Nebraska Extension. The producer applies their nitrogen rate to portions of the field and also applies a base rate to the sensor-managed strips early on in the growing season. Then the Nebraska Extension team takes a high-clearance applicator to the field at the proper time in the growing season, when the corn crop is between V10 and VT, and applies side-dress nitrogen based on real-time readings by the crop canopy sensors. Participants this year were enthused about the opportunity to be involved in this innovative project.
I've seen this technology around now for probably 10 years and been waiting for something like this to come. I thought this was the opportunity to see it on my farm and see how it works for me.
Probably the biggest shock was how the sensors read what our naked eye can't even imagine. The variability of what the machine did when we were going through the field has just been mind-boggling, and so I'm anxious to tie that with yield map results and look at that with grid sample and everything else.
Well, what we've learned is the variability of the soil really shows up, but the recommendations come back about the same over the soil.
You know, I think the technology is going to advance and improve, and I think it's something that producers, especially in areas where soils are fragile in the possibility of losing nitrogen, leaching away, we need to look at this technology and hopefully use that to improve our operations and be able to stabilize the nitrogen and have it there when we need it.
Well, I think it's a very good option for them to look at research, because, you know, when we go out in the field and we talk to farmers, and they'll say, boy, I wish I knew if this was being a beneficial item, and so if they could do some research on the farm and let somebody to set it up for them correctly, because sometimes, you know, it's a challenge for a farmer to know how to actually do their own research and stuff.
Yield and profitability results from Project Sense will be shared each year at the annual results update meeting of the Nebraska On-Farm Research Network. For more information about Project Sense, visit the Nebraska On-Farm Research Network online at cropwatch.unl.edu/farmresearch. Project Sense is sponsored by Nebraska Extension and is made possible through funding from the Nebraska Corn Board, the USDA, and 5 Nebraska NRDs: the Central Platte NRD, Little Blue NRD, Lower Loop NRD, Lower Platte North NRD, and Upper Big Blue NRD.